When Toyota introduced its all-new eTNGA platform, they promised us 3 new electric vehicles: the Toyota BZ4X, the Subaru Solterra, and the Lexus RZ 450. The BZ4X had a little bit of a rough launch. I mean, the wheels literally fell off of it. However, Toyota has all of those issues fixed, and we're here in the south of France to see if the Lexus RZ is the best version of the eTNGA cars, and also if it's a proper Lexus.
The Lexus RZ falls in between the NX and RX in the lineup and comes with only one battery choice and all-wheel drive. The 71.4 kilowatt-hour battery pack sends power to 2 electric motors with combined power from both electric motors equaling 308 horsepower. Lexus claims that the RZ will accelerate to 60 miles per hour in 5 seconds. Like on the redesigned Lexus RX, the Spindle Grille has been replaced with something Lexus calls Lexus Spindle Body. Basically, the entire car adopts the Spindle design philosophy with sharp edges and a large rear roof spoiler. In profile, it resembles the BZ4X and Solterra it shares the platform with, but many of the design cues are distinctively Lexus. The interior somewhat resembles the Toyota and the Subaru, but there are distinct Lexus touches with the instrument cluster and standard larger infotainment screen. Also, fun fact, the radiant heating option on the BZ4X covers both the driver and passenger side of the RZ. It only heats up passenger legs on the Toyota.
After spending a couple of minutes in the RZ, it's very obvious that this car was designed to be the premium offering in the eTNGA lineup. It drives, handles, performs all better than both the Subaru Solterra and the Toyota BZ4X. It's quieter inside, the materials are nicer, and it's kind of everything you'd expect from a Lexus. And it drives and feels like kind of a modern Lexus. If you're in an RX, this isn't a foreign concept to you. Some of the things that it brings forward in the Lexus lineup is you get a standard 14-inch infotainment screen, which is the latest iteration of Lexus's infotainment. It's built on Android Automotive. It supports wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. You can say things like, "Hey, wake word," with the wake word being the car's name. It'll do responses and stuff like that for you. The only thing that it doesn't do yet is it won't dynamically route you to charging stations, which is still kind of a big miss, though all of the Korean cars also don't do that still. So that's really where I think this car and those cars are lacking. One of the big features that you're going to notice once it goes on sale, a little after it goes on sale, is that it'll be available with either a traditional steering wheel like the car that we have now, or a yoke, which is a steer-by-wire system with kind of a half steering wheel on top of it. I spent some time in that earlier today. There's a lot of really good things to like about it. It varies the ratio of the steering based on how fast you're going. So in low-speed parking lot situations, stuff like that, just a small tug of the steering wheel will cause the car to make a fairly significant turn. Once you get used to it, I think I prefer that experience, but I don't necessarily care for the half steering wheel yoke action. They move some of the controls that would normally be on a stalk next to the steering wheel onto the steering wheel, and I found myself more than once accidentally bumping the turn signal stalk when I was trying to adjust the regen, the paddles for the regen. So in Chad's dream world, there would be a full steering wheel with the steer-by-wire system. I think that would be a good mix of both systems, because it does actually make the car feel sportier. It makes it feel like it's got some more performance, and there's plenty of performance on tap. It's got over 300 horsepower. It'll go as fast as you need it to go. The really only other major demerit in driving is on the 18-inch wheels, like the car that I'm currently in. Your EPA rated range is about 220 miles. If you opt for the 20s, or they come standard on the higher spec models, your range is reduced to 196. And 196 is pretty low, even in 2023. It's a pretty low number. They introduced a range mode in the RZ 450 that basically will limit your top speed to approximately 60 miles an hour. It'll also turn off the climate control. So it'll make all these efforts to make it so you can get the maximum amount of range. And unlike the BZ4X all-wheel drive, this car will actually charge at up to 150 kilowatts because it's using a different battery architecture than what's in that car. It's not using the Cadle batteries, which should make this much, much, much nicer to live with daily or on a road trip, because that was really our biggest complaint about the BZ4X was its just absolutely abysmal DC fast charging speed. Up front, otherwise, there's plenty of room. Interior build quality is excellent. Materials are great. There's a little too much gloss black for my liking around the instrument cluster and some of the controls, but Toyota's really resisted the urge. Lexus has really resisted the urge to make the entire center console all black. And they're doing some really clever new interior color treatments and some new fake leather and some new fake Alcantara that are cool to the I mean, cool as in they're cool to touch. I guess with ventilated seats, they are also cool to the touch. But just really probably the most expressive Lexus vehicles that they've had in a while, outside of like LC, which is their sports car. Rear seat space is honestly pretty good. The H point's a little high, so you may have, because the batteries are on the floor, you may have not as much thigh support as you'd like in the back. But if you are an adult, you should be comfortable for most road trips in the back, and kids should be more than happy. One other cool kind of trick that Lexus has included is the panoramic glass roof. While it doesn't open, it does have a built-in tint function, so you can go from fully opaque to fully transparent instead of having a shade, and that happens almost instantly, so you're not waiting for a shade to close or open. Otherwise, I mean, out on the highway, out on a higher speed A road, since we're in France, the car's super quiet. A lot quieter than some of the other EVs that are out of the market, especially a Tesla Model Y. Teslas can be pretty loud on the highway. There's very little road noise here. There's very little wind noise, especially with the 18-inch tires. I think that this comes off as a much more premium experience than the comparative Tesla. And around town, I mean, it handles bumps really well. I mean, the roads here in southern France aren't Detroit, bombed out, but it seems to handle speed bumps really well, and it's honestly a really kind of genuinely nice car to drive. Is it as competitive as it needs to be with, let's say, like the GV60 from Genesis? I don't know. That might still be my favorite. It's got a little bit more range, a little bit more performance, a little bit a much faster charging speed, but this doesn't feel like a phoned-in compliance car like maybe the BZ4X does. And considering that they're the same platform with a lot of the same materials and same architecture underneath, I think that's impressive that they were able to engineer this car to be the Lexus of EVs, which is something that I hate saying. It is kind of true. It's, if you like that Lexus experience and you want to go beyond the very good plug-in hybrids that they offer, especially like the RX plug-in, which is very good. Yeah, RZ450 could be for you.
The 2023 Lexus RZ 450e Premium, the only one with 226 miles of range, starts at $59,650 with delivery. If you want to opt for 20-inch wheels, which look better but drops range to 196 miles, you'll be paying $1,240 more. The luxury trim starts at $65,150, and the optional steer-by-wire system isn't priced yet, but is expected at a later date. Range aside, the Lexus is priced competitively with similar models from Audi and Genesis.
Not only does it shake off the bad stigma that came from the launch of the BZ4X, but it's possibly a viable alternative to some of the more premium EVs out there, such as the Audi e-tron or the Tesla Model Y. We also enjoyed our time in the Subaru Solterra, and we think it's a good pick in the Subaru lineup. Click here to watch our full review of that video right now.